my friends, Simon Miller from What Culture here, and we are just around the corner from AEW Revolution 2022. If you actually look at the card for this thing, and you want to come in here and argue this is the best card that All Elite Wrestling's ever done, I ain't never going to argue with you. What we do need to do is we need to take our brains and try and figure out what's going to happen on the show, because that's just what we as wrestling fans do. So make sure you do the same in the comments, and it does have like a time signature. Don't come here on Monday and go, here's all my predictions, and you just recap the show. That makes you a silly boy or girl or whatever. Anyway, let's predict that show. We do have two matches that were recently announced for the buy-in, or the pre-show, whatever the hell you want to call it, because we are getting QT Marshall versus Hook, my heart starts to beat, and we're getting Chris Statlander versus Layla Hirsch. Now when it comes to Hook versus QT Marshall, I think it's quite cut and dry. Hook will win this, because it would be crazy if QT did, although I do think that's quite a big scalp for Hook. But when it comes for Statlander versus Hirsch, well, I have absolutely no flubbing idea. Now, I've really enjoyed this feud, but what it's broken down into now is that Chris Statlander has insulted Layla Hirsch for basically being an orphan, and now Layla's like, well, because you said that, I'm going to rip the limbs off of your chest. And you're like, well, that's kind of fair enough. I'd probably do the same. So, of course, it all depends on where we're going with this. And I actually think Layla Hirsch would benefit from getting a win over Chris Statlander more than vice versa. So I'm going to say that she locks in one of her submission moves and the alien taps out. I'm very worried about this because I'm not confident at all, but I've said it. Mark it down. We shall then get into the pay-per-view properly, and I'm going to assume that maybe one of the first matches, I have no idea, is Jade Cargill versus Ty Conte for the DBS title. And something I think we all need to remember as we are here is that Jade Cargill hasn't even had 30 matches. Like, I think her record right now, her undefeated streak, is 28-0, which essentially means she's only had 28 professional wrestling matches. So when you are going to judge her or critique her, just keep that in the back of your brain, because that's flubbing crazy. I mean, my word, she's going to be an even bigger star than she is now. I do think this is another easy one to predict, though, because the build has kind of only started the last couple of weeks, and all Ty Conte really did is walk out and say, hey, I'll challenge for your TBS championship. So even though I do think they'll have a good match, this ain't the time to end Jade Cargill's undefeated streak. And in fact, if you did do that, I'd sit there with my nerd hat on and go, well, what was the point of it to begin with? And I suppose Mark Sterling could get involved, and maybe Anna Jay and even the Bunny, but when all is said and done, Ty Conte will have been jaded, Cargill will get the pin, she'll be 29-0, I think, and still be your TBS champ. Moving on, we've got one hell of a tornado tag match as Matt Hardy, Andrade, and Isaiah Cassidy take on Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. And as far as I know, sometimes wrestling does like to change this, because it's tornado rules, all the guys will be in the ring at the same time. I mean, the tag klaxon is going to break. Some people have also said that it's a shame Sammy isn't defending his title on this show, but he's going to defend it on Rampage, which you may have already seen by the time you've seen this video. But also, this is why I like the TNT title. It gets defended on television so often, it means when you do get to pay-per-views, you can give it a rest. And also, if you are not pumped for this six-man, well, once again, you're perfectly allowed. It's your life. You can come up with your own feelings, but I think you'll miss it out. I just also think it's going to be so damn entertaining. I mean, Darby Allin will try and kill himself. Sammy Guevara will see this and go, I'm going to top you. Sting is the flipping man. Isaiah Cassidy will literally be a flipping man. And I always enjoy everything that Matt Hardy and Andrade are doing right now, especially because you can just see the writing on the wall. I mean, if this isn't the night they break up properly, I'm going to eat my fictional hat. Because we all know that Jeff Hardy is going to join AEW in the next couple of weeks. Matt and Jeff will then get back together to become a tag team. This will allow Andrade to take over the family office. That will be AFO, whatever the flub. And of course, during this, maybe Private Party can punch Matt Hardy right in the face and say, listen, Matt, you've been really mean recently, so now we turn it on you. So I am going to presume that is how this ends. They have a big breakdown. It allows the good guys to get the win. If we could have Sting take the pin, that would work for me. And also, as we are talking about the icon, really, I don't know how long he's going to keep going, but if you said you never want him to lose again, I'd be on board. The tag team titles are also going to be on the line as the Jurassic Express take on Red Dragon and the Young Bucks. And because Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish are in this, and because what they've been doing recently, especially on Dynamite, I think they're going to win. And do not get me wrong, I love Jungle Boy and I love Luchasaurus, but there just seems to be this huge story building between the Young Bucks and Red Dragon. And if you throw the tag team titles into that mix, Well, it makes it very spicy. Now, Tony Khan recently said that when Kenny Omega does return, he may add a trios title into the mix, which actually would change this up a little bit. But if we do get to the point where we have Adam Cole and Red Dragon taking on the Young Bucks and a returning Kenny Omega, plus you have double championships involved, I mean, that may be a little bit overkill, but I'm not going to lie to you, it also gets me excited. Let us not forget about the Jurassic Express though, because I think they have been great tag team champions and on occasion have made AEW Rampage their own show. But there could be one more twist in the tail here, and that comes in the form of Christian. Because for a while there has been this feeling in people's tum-tums that maybe, just maybe, Mr. Cage is going to do a big old heel turn like his fake brother Edge. And don't forget, if he does do that and turns on Jungle Boy, it means we get Christian versus Jungle Boy in a singles feud. And not only will Christian make that so damn good, Jungle Boy will gain a lot of experience. I just think Christian being a bad guy makes all the sense in the world. I mean, there's not that much left for him to do as a good guy, and if you do this, he can also have a banger with Luchasaurus. And that's mostly going to be because the dinosaur will be like, oh my gosh, I got betrayed again. First it was an asteroid, and now you, or maybe you go all in with this, and Luchasaurus joins up with Christian Cage, but maybe don't do that because I don't think my emotions could take it. Still, let's round all that up. Red Dragon win, go on to a feud with the Bucks, and Christian Cage turns heel and beats up Jungle Boy. I have gone very WWE with this, and now the words have come out my mouth. I don't think it is going to happen, but that's the fun of having your own show. You can go on these flights of fancy. And then right after that, we're probably going to get Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. I mean, what a ridiculous show. It's not something I thought I'd see this soon after Danielson debuted, and don't forget that whoever wins, we're gonna get back to TV, and these two may even form a team. So that is like Christmas and my birthday and Hanukkah all come together at once. It is also quite literally impossible to call, because do you really have Bryan lose again, given that he recently had a defeat to Hangman? I don't think so. But ever since Jon Moxley returned to the company, he hasn't been defeated either. So what in the flubbins do you do here? I mean, given that Danielson was the provocateur, maybe he should lose, then Mox would be like, man, you shouldn't have come into my house. But then if they are going to form this group, and it was Bryan Danielson's idea, shouldn't he get the win? Because then he can say to Jon Moxley, see, look, I told you, you wanted to fight, we've done it, I beat you, now for the love of everything, would you get on board? I mean, it is a great way to justify why Mox would want to do this, as they go all NWO and take over AEW. So it really is a flip of a coin, and All Elite Wrestling doesn't really do screwy finishes, so I can't even come up with shenanigans. What I do know is that I cannot wait, so I'm going to take my football, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary, and I'm saying Bryan Danielson. I do not think he taps out Mox though, and he probably bends the rules in a way that Jon Moxley would be like, oh man, yeah, that was really clever, I like it. And also, there's probably going to be a lot of blood in this. I mean, Jon Moxley did promise it. And then we go from two ex-WWE guys to another one, because Chris Jericho is taking on Eddie Kingston. Another match that, surprise, surprise, really excited about. Now, Jericho hasn't gone full heel yet, but we do keep teasing it. And as we saw on Dynamite, Santana and Ortiz are definitely going to be doing something here. I mean, they did the weak fist bumps a few days ago. What did it mean? The promos between these two have absolutely sold me on the program, and it all depends on what the future holds. Because AEW doesn't really like doing rematches, but now we are deep into 2022, I think we can start to change that, starting with this. Therefore, if you do want to focus on Chris's turn, you can do that here and go, oh my gosh, his dark side is out. Then you can do a match 2 and Eddie Kingston wins, and then you can do a match 3 where Kingston wins all 3 and points at Chris Jericho and say, see, I told you, this is why you shouldn't be a villain. And there is another way to go with this in the sense that Kingston could win at Revolution, then the two meet in Dynamite, and even though Chris Jericho said he was going to extend his hand and pay Eddie some respects, he doesn't, he tonks him in the face, and that's how he turns heel, and again, you can get to match 2. But I think I prefer that in many ways, because Eddie Kingston beating a former champion and Le Champion, I think is a massive deal. So let's do that. I would assume that Santana and Ortiz also go with Eddie Kingston, and then we can do some trios here as well. Although who the hell would the third man be for Jericho? I mean, he'd take on Jake Hager, and I suppose you could put Sammy Guevara back into that, but that doesn't really make sense. Although now that I think about it, maybe Jericho could bring in Cesaro, and then you get Cesaro, Hager, and Chris taking on Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. Everybody take your hands, put it together, and let's try and manifest this into existence. Anyway, too long didn't read, Kingston. Things are then gonna get nuts like Michael Keaton in Batman, because it is the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Oh boy. So as ever, by the time you see this, you may know the full lineup, but it is going to be Powerhouse Hobbs taking on Keith Lee, taking on Ricky Starks, taking on Wardlow, taking on Orange Cassidy, and taking on either Christian or Ethan Page. They fighting on Friday. There is a reason I don't need to overthink this, however, because given everything that's been happening on television, surely this has got to go to Wardlow. I mean, you have to figure this is going to tie into all the stuff with MJF versus CM Punk, especially because a few days ago, we did see Maxwell slap Wardlow right in the face and be like, if you keep talking to me like that, I'm going to fire you. And he also said, look, if you do win the TNT title, I will let you keep it. So let's say that Wardlow becomes the #1 contender, Maxwell does lose to CM Punk, and we'll talk about that in a second, and then he changes his mind. He's like, look, I know what I said, but I want that #1 contender spot now. Wardlow says no, and you can see the rest. The best part about it as well is that you can't actually lose a ladder match. If you're thinking, well, of course, Keith Lee should win this, which I totally understand, he doesn't actually lose, he just didn't climb a ladder and grab a brass ring. But also, what have we been doing on Dynamite recently? We may have had a man with a megaphone going, Keith Lee versus Ricky Starks. Who would like Keith Lee versus Ricky Starks? Well, I would like Keith Lee versus Ricky Starks. You could also do that for the FTW title. It all ties in. I've sounded way too confident now, so I will be wrong, but I'm saying Wardlow does indeed become the Face of the Revolution. But either way, this is going to be carnage. This is going to be manic. Make sure you prepare yourself. Oh, and given everything else I've said in this video, I'm going to say the other guy, the last guy, is Ethan Page. Because Christian, he needs to do the dirty on Jurassic Express. And then I thought we were going to get another title switch. It's Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's title. And the reason I've changed my mind is because what happened on Dynamite. We saw Thunder Rosa hit the Thunder Driver and pin Britt Baker. And all my wrestling geekdoms tell me that AEW would have done that because she's losing on Sunday. I've got this big chunk in my stomach that says, no, Thunder Rosa's still going to win. So now I don't know what to do. We've also made it very clear that if you can get rid of Jamie Hayter and Rebel, Britt Baker is vulnerable because that's what Mercedes Martinez did in the tag match. So I suppose the only other way you can get out of this is that Jamie Hayter does try to do something, she screws up, Britt Baker falls down, Thunder Rosa gets the pin, and then Britt can go absolutely nuts at Jamie, and you start that feud too. I'm really not going to moan if Baker retains because she has been a wonderful champion and before long will be a 2-time champion as well. But I really do think it's time. I can just feel it in my bones. Take that gun, pull the trigger, and have Thunder Rosa win. If you want to involve Rebel, Jamie Hayter, and Mercedes Martinez, that's fine. I mean, it quite literally ties into narrative. And I tell you why it doesn't matter overall, because they're going to have a great match. They always have a great match. These two have a special chemistry. Although, now I've said it, Thunder Rosa did win the last one, that street fight. Scratching my non-existent beard again. I've said it now, and I'm sticking with it, Thunder Rosa. And then if that wasn't enough for you, it's CM Punk versus MJF round 2. Now, given the levels we have reached in this feud and the fact it's a dog collar match, this is going to be brutal, this is going to be violent, and it may very well just determine who is going for the AEW World title after the fact. You also do have this awesome story where CM Punk has basically created his own villain, which he now needs to vanquish, and that's really why I think CM Punk has to win here. I mean, it was surprising enough when MJF did beat him in Chicago, but do not forget we watch wrestling for good times and to be happy and to dance around like fairies. And while Maxwell Jacob Freeman is a terrific performer, if he does win again, I may actually be sad. I may look out my window and go, oh, there's no hope in the world. Everything is so grey. I don't think I want this. And of course, there is an outside chance that the Wardlow stuff ties in here, and he comes out and goes, that's it, MJF, and he punches him right in the face. But my word, if I'm correct with all of these, we have gone way too much with that. I mean, I'm turning everyone. But my biggest thing, and the thing I can't get away from, is that I do not think you have CM Punk lose twice. I really don't. I think he has a world title run in him, as I've already said. And of course, eventually he can probably turn bad guy, and that's where he can be defeated more, and it would even mean much more too. So I'm going with my man CM Punk. But again, I couldn't give a fuck. I don't care. These two have taken a baseball bat and they have hit such a home run. It's probably going to be my favorite feud of 2022. And if not, what the hell is going to beat it? So I give them a round of applause but I'm sticking with Punk. And our main event is also going to be wild because it is champion Hangman Adam Page taking on challenger Adam Cole. It is the Battle of the Adams. Who knows what's going to happen? Now, it kind of ties into what I was just talking about because I do think Hangman Adam Page will win here, and I do believe his next challenger may be CM Punk. But then that all confuses my brain and gets discombobulated because it makes far more sense to do Hangman Adam Page versus MJF. Unless, of course, we are going to turn Punk to the dark side. But when you actually sit down and really think about it, this isn't the time to take the belt off the cowboy. I mean, it doesn't feel like it at all. Like, you couldn't even come in my house right now and somehow justify it because we're only just getting going. And don't be one of these people that go, oh, he's having a bad reign, he's having a bad reign. He's having bangers with everyone. He had a banger against Bryan Danielson, a banger against Kenny Omega, a banger against Lance Archer. And do you think he's not going to have a banger against Adam Cole? There is more chance of my hair growing back, and trust me, it's not going to happen. I tried. The thing is, though, and this sums up Revolution, there's always an asterisk. I cannot get it out of my head that recently Adam Cole lost to Orange Cassidy. And I know that was an unsanctioned match, so it doesn't count on the record, but I still saw it. It's not like it was a ghost. So are we really going to have him pinned in 2 matches? I mean, he's so damn talented, he could get away with it. That just doesn't seem like something we would do. So AEW have just smashed it again with this because it's like wrestling tennis. I just go back and forth, back and forth. And the fact that they've been able to do that with multiple matches on the card, well, that doesn't happen very often. So what I am going to decide is that Adam Cole, that's right, is going to become the new AEW World Champion because 1, that's more fun, but also 2, just to go even more sports entertainment, let's say Red Dragon do something here, which you presume they were going to do, and then the Bucks come out because they now hate Red Dragon. Maybe Kenny Omega isn't able to return, so do you know who could be the Young Bucks' third guy, Hangman Adam Page, as they all get back together again? Hey, you could even do that and keep Hangman as the champ, it all works. But really, because most people will pick Hangman, I'm gonna say Adam Cole. I don't even think that would be a good idea. Well, it's not a bad idea, because Adam Cole rocks. I just want to be a renegade, so I'm doing it. Lock it in, write it down. Adam Cole, this time next week, will be your AEW World Champion. Probably not. Now you know what to do. Get in those comments and let me know your AEW predictions. I always read them, and if you do smash it, I'll give you a prize in my head. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com where we keep you up to date with all the wrestling news. We're on social media. Give us a follow, otherwise what are you doing on there? And we have a ton of videos. Pick one, just one, give it a watch. My name is Simon What Culture. Thank you for joining me as always, and enjoy this pay-per-view. If you have made it this far, I'm going to let you into my secret that I usually do. I love the fact that AEW pay-per-views moved to a Sunday because it means I get to watch it Monday morning as part of my job. I am such an asshole. I hate me too. Goodbye.